When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Welcome back to the Grease Comms YouTube channel. Today's video, we are going to be talking about who is the stranger within Rings of Power. What is their purpose within the story, and who is this character? Is it Gandalf? Is it Sauron? Is it a character that we at least know of? Does this happen in the Silmarillion or the Appendices? But before we get into the video, if you guys like to like, subscribe for more of this Rings of Power or House of the Dragon type content, please do. Going to be doing live streams right after House of the Dragon comes out, and then Rings of Power will probably be the day after. So, yeah. But let's get into the video. Let's talk about the Stranger. Now, the Stranger is a character that I think is the most intriguing when it comes to plot within the story, because I'm just intrigued to see where they're going to go with the character, because I did a review and I talked about the Stranger being kind of this middle ground for me. He's not a positive, he's not a negative at the moment. Because if they make it something where it's a character that doesn't make sense, I'm going to be like, well, this show sucks, this doesn't make any sense, and I'm going to just leave it at that. There's a lot of lore inaccuracies already within the show, but this is one that's just kind of new, right? This doesn't happen in the Silmarillion. We have no knowledge of what this could possibly be in the book. So we're going to talk about who are the candidates people have theorized and why a lot of these characters don't actually make any sense. So let's start out with the fan favorite, Gandalf. This straight up just can't be Gandalf unless they're willing to just completely destroy lore. If you guys don't know, what ends up happening is Gandalf and the other wizards come over in the Third Age, and they're kind of sent to protect Middle-earth against Sauron and all of that. And a lot of the wizards do not, go through with that quest, with the blue wizards going off in the east and kind of disappearing almost. Saruman basically flips, and then Radagast is kind of a weird one because he's just kind of messing around in the forest and all of that. But when you look at it, it can't be them. Remember, we're in the beginning of the Second Age in this show. The beginning, not the middle, not the end. We're a whole age in front of when Gandalf would come over. So this, for that sake, doesn't make any sense. If they introduce Gandalf into this time period, it creates a lot of question marks for events that happen in the future, because it's like, would these have changed with Gandalf being there? Also, it changes what Gandalf's goal is here, because he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know kind of what his message is. Maybe if it is Gandalf, if we figure out by the end, like, he's like, oh yeah, I was sent here to help against the threat of Sauron, maybe, but again, still, it doesn't make any sense lore-wise, and I think most Tolkien fans would lose their shit even more than they already are. So I think that is a really bad route to go. Also, I don't think it's Gandalf, because we've seen a lot of hints that this character has an evil aura to them. One of my friends in the stream, we talk about episode 1 and 2, points out that this character, there's fire all around, but it feels cold. Now, that's something that is tied into with what Galadriel says when they are kind of hunting for Sauron. They go into the fortress, and they're like, it's cold. Yes, and then cold is meant to represent, in this episode, or the 2 episodes, of deep evil, right? So we have this idea that this character the flame is cold. And they also see later on this character has kind of a dark energy to them at times, and they're yelling at people, or they kill the fireflies. So I think there's some idea where the character is either a morally gray character where they have instances of good and bad, or an evil character that just doesn't know it yet. So people have then thought to theorize that this could be Sauron. And to me, again, doesn't make a lot of sense. Sauron at this point is kind of gathering his forces, trying to build up his strength. Why would he go into the shape of this, I guess, giant, quote unquote, that doesn't know who they are, and just basically like acting like they're, I guess, fleeing away from something? But at this point, you have to remember the elves have stopped their hunt for Sauron. It seems like Sauron is starting to send his goblins and orcs a little bit more into raiding villages and stuff like we see with other plot lines. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense for this to be Sauron. I get it, because Sauron's form, when the Last Alliance happens, Sauron's a very big character. He's like not like a major in the story. Like, he's actually very tall in his form. So people have kind of theorized this could be Sauron plus some of the dark magic type stuff. But the thing is, that just doesn't add up to what Sauron would be doing at this time. We know where Sauron's going to go. I'm not going to get into spoilers. But Sauron at this point has other things going on, right? At this point in the book, right, he's planning his first war with Numenor, right? And I don't think that's going to be the way the show goes, just based upon the time. I don't think they have time to go through the wars of Numenor. I think it's going to be something else that they're going to kind of take out of the book and how that ends up playing out. But that just to me doesn't make any sense. So let's look at what are the other options. This character has magic ability, and that really limits it down to only a few characters, but none of them, in my opinion, make any sense. Like I said, the wizards are completely already out. They don't come until the Third Age. They're not really influential at this point of history, so it doesn't make sense for them to be there. Okay, it's not Sauron. How many other magical beings do we have, right? This person's not an elf. We know that. Like, they don't look like an elf. They don't have the elf ears. Maybe they're in disguise. They don't have that. So I thought possibly this could have been Tom Bombadil when we first saw him on screen, just because it's kind of a random character we don't know a ton about. We know Tom Bombadil, again, was there. He is literally one of the oldest creatures, or I guess he's not really a human, but oldest beings within Middle-earth. Maybe they were retconning Tom Bombadil, and that's how they were going to put him into the story. I could have saw that because of the magic ability, because Tom Bombadil does have some magic ability, but it doesn't seem like that is the case either. So where this all leads me to is I think this is a character that was created just for the show, just to kind of give some relevancy to the Harfoots, because as of right now, the Harfoots to me they don't really need to be there. They're a plot that doesn't really make the most amount of sense when you look at, we have this big overarching threat. What is their influence in it? And also, if you look at Tolkien's writing, the hobbits and, okay, the Harfoots are a subcategory of hobbits. Okay, let's get that straight. So the hobbits don't play a role in this. So you have to make up a story to make the Harfoots important in the story. So that's what I feel like the stranger's relevance to the story is. He's going to provide them, like we see at the end of episode 2, with some sort of area that they need to maybe travel to, and this will maybe lead them to meeting up with our men-elf kind of plot line, right? With, I think it's Arondir is his name. So that plot, because they're both kind of in the same area, so we could see that maybe they kind of meet up or something like that. So the whole idea with, I think, the stranger is to get some of these Harfoots moving and getting them to the main story, because like we see with a show like Game of Thrones, the idea is we're going to try to get all of these main characters or side plots together into one main plot against either Sauron or wherever they tend to go with it. I would assume it has to be Sauron and the Rings of Power, because that's what it's named after. But that is going to be what is going to be happening. So to me, that is my idea just on the stranger. Let me know what you guys think about the stranger. Again, I really hope they don't do something stupid like Gandalf or the Wizards or Sauron, because they logically just don't make any sense in the context of the stranger at this point. So, yeah, that is the video. Thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys next one. Bye, guys.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.